Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are back in Space Engineers. We're still playing. I know this is getting old, but we're still playing with the build and repair system, and I truly am having a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know me very well, I love a good shipyard. Shipyards are just cool. So, what I have done is create a frame, and it started out as one of these, and then I pasted it together, and then I pasted the two of them together on the other end, and I'm going to paste two more of these together because I want to create a fairly large shipyard. So this would be 8. Uh-oh. There we go. Something happened there. Alright, so this is what 8 looks like. And I'm trying to decide if that's proportionally what I want, or if we'll go ahead and do one more, which would make 10 frames across. And I think we are going to do 10. But let's have a look and see what this looks like. Alright. Yeah, I think proportionally this works very well. So this is actually 10 frames. Each of the frames has 16 BRS systems. So if we consider what this is, then this is actually 160 BRS systems. So this should be able to do an awful lot of stuff. Now, right now, all this has is batteries. There is no storage of any kind, as you can see here. So what I figured we would do is we would kind of work our way in the process and effectively create everything. So how we do that, so I built a similar station to this, and what I did, all right, let me jump off screen for half a second, and I apologize for that, but this will actually make a bit more sense. Alright, that's not going to paste in well, but we'll try it anyway. So this is going to be really screwed up. And I can get rid of all of these because they're no longer applicable. Alright, just clearing out my blueprints here. Alright. So we have this thing called the Concorde passenger liner. Why did I name it the Concorde? Well, hey, it looks a little bit like the Concorde, maybe. And I know that's dating myself, but the Concorde hasn't been flying for quite a few years. It was a very expensive aircraft to fly. There were only, as far as I know, 2 carriers that actually flew them, which was Air France and British Airways. The reason why they did that was because it was a joint French-British venture. So those 2 airlines are the ones that flew them. The Concorde had a like 29-year run. So definitely did its time. However, in that time, the tickets were always very expensive. They hit Mach 2 going across, so it was, you know, basically all over the world that it went, got you there quite a bit faster, twice as fast as what most aircraft would get you there. So New York to London, I think, was like 3 hours, just a hair under 4 hours, something like that. And for those of you who have done any traveling, know that New York to London is usually about an 8-hour flight. So anyway, having said that, I'm going to try and paste this in the world. Now, it's not going to paste gracefully because there's a lot of parts and pieces missing. Because I don't have those mods turned on. It's going to give me the warning here in a second. Probably trying to figure out what parts and pieces are missing, which is all fine and dandy. There we go. Okay, so why was the shipyard as big as it was? Well, that was because I wanted something this size to fit. Oh, and it doesn't fit. Oh my goodness. So the shipyard I built originally for this was designed so this would fit, and in fact this thing would fly out of it. Alright, so the good news here is there's most of this pastes in. And most being a little generous. As you can see, there's a lot of parts and pieces missing. So a portion of last underway I actually spent redoing this, and I lost it. I have no idea where it ended up. Well, actually, I think I do know where it ended up. It ended up on my auxiliary drive, and the problem was when I so I take one of my what I call the portable array backup, or actually the array backup portables. There's 4 of them. So I have 2 NASs, 2 NASs, network attached storage. One of them is offsite, which is to say it's on an auxiliary building on my property. So I have my house and then a couple auxiliary buildings. So I don't really have a server farm anymore, but I have a NAS which is stored. There's a hub out there, or a switch that connects everything in. And one of the machines that I am working with right now, it's actually the machine that is doing the recording right now, the video recording. It actually got retired as an older desktop machine. It's a quad, Core 2 quad. So it's old. It's like 9 years old now or something like that. And it doesn't really do the video recording gracefully at all. I mean, it does it, but it's why it does those little stagger things. It's why my voice is actually, I think, a second or two, about a second ahead of the video, where the video is. So it's why the video is blotchy like it is. It kind of stutters. So all the interesting things that go along with having a much slower computer than what any of the modern software or hardware is intending. So having said all that, that machine got retired from being my desktop machine. It was replaced with a bit newer i7 machine that's about less than a year old now. But the parts and pieces in it, for example, it was DDR3 RAM that was in it, and I bought the motherboard specifically to be able to handle DDR3. Somebody gave me about 12 sticks of DDR3, and they were listed as 16 gig sticks. As I found out, they were not 16 gig sticks. They were actually 2 gig sticks. Or actually 4 gig sticks, sorry. So it was a set of 16 gig. So that's to say that the entire set equaled 16 gig. So I hate the fact that manufacturers do shit like that. It's totally annoying. It just seems to me that if it's a 4 gig stick, you should say on it, this is a 4 gig stick. But this is, you know, marketing and advertising bullshit. Welcome to our world. So anyway, the motherboard was older because I needed a motherboard to be able to deal with DDR3 RAM. And I bought the motherboard to accommodate the RAM, and then I bought the newest CPU, which was an i7, that could deal with that motherboard. So, you know, motherboard, and then looked up the specs and did the motherboard for, or the CPU, the neatest, nicest CPU that could actually be used in that particular motherboard, in that particular socket. So it worked out pretty well. And so that became the newest machine. The next newer machine is actually the replacement for my gaming machine. And I haven't quite got that one online yet. It is mostly online. It's all put together. So this particular machine has dual GTX 970s, NVIDIA GTX 970s. The new one actually has dual 1080 Ti's, so SLI capable running. So pretty neat so far. A little bit better CPU. The CPU itself is I think it's a 3.4, whereas this particular CPU in this machine is a 3.6. The differential there is that the 3.6 is a third generation i7, whereas the machine, the new machine, is a sixth generation. So they're on generation 7 now for i7s. But anyway, so what I will probably do is take the video machine, the machine that's doing video right now, and convert it back into a semi server-ish kind of a machine, and then it will go out next to the NAS in the other building, and then 2 of the portable drives will go onto it and then map into the network. So it will basically be backups to what's inside, so what's inside the house. So I'm total old school computer. I grew up in the era of floppy disks and even before floppy disks. So when I was in college, we used paper cards, card readers, paper cards, and eventually graduated to paper tape. I know that's totally dating myself. They went out very, very quickly, so I only spent about a year and a half in school with the punch cards and paper tape before we were entirely floppy based. But I do very well remember the days of 8-inch floppies, the days that hard drives were the size of washing machines, and for those that were the cartridge hard drives, you had actually 80 meg of hard drives, because each platter was 10 meg, so it was really cool because there were 8 platters, 16 heads, so it was 5 meg, or sorry, yeah, 5 meg on each side of the platter. Definitely really, really cool stuff of that era. A lot has changed, but floppies were one of these things that in my era you had 4 backups, and the reason you had 4 backups because you might inadvertently, whether it be the machine with a bug, software with a bug, something, you would kill your working disk. So you would stick in your backup and try and boot and discover that, okay, I definitely have a problem here, and you'll kill your next disk and possibly your next. And then by the time you get to your third working disk, or your third backup disk, then you've figured out what's wrong and you can actually boot, which means you still had a fourth that was the total oh shit boot disk. And then, of course, once you corrected the problem, then you create a new working disk, and then replace all of your backups. So you always had 4 backups sitting on the shelf. So why do I do that? Well, I grew up in the era where you don't have to back up everything, just the things you don't want to lose. So I personally back up everything and make sure I have at least 4 backups of everything. Now, because I'm a little bit OCD, that didn't work out quite as planned. So I have 2 copies of all my data on my laptop. My laptop travels around the world with me. So when I am traveling, I have my 2 mains, which is really a main and backup of the main, that's right there on the laptop. I carry a portable array backup, which goes with me everywhere, and that is a backup of what's on the laptop. So then I have basically my main and 2 backups that I carry with me. When I get home, I actually have 4 backups that are outside, that are my basically portables. And then I have the 2 NASs, so all the data that's on the laptop ends up backed up to the 2 NASs and the 4 other drives. So I actually have 7 working backups at any given time. Yes, I know that's OCD, but hey. The irony probably is that I have more storage capability at my place than most aircraft carriers in the United States Navy. That's really frightening, isn't it? So one of my NASs is 24 terabytes. The other is 18 terabytes. And then all of my backup drives, the four backup drives are 8 terabyte each. So I definitely have a lot of raw storage. I used to have a file that I called the byte list, which outlined all the storage that I had, internal and external, of the machines. So I used to do arrays on all the various machines, and I've kind of gotten away from that. So now the machines themselves in the house are just local storage. So the operating system and any local data that I want to store, which is really very little. So for example, the game machine, I have the main drive, which is a solid state drive, and then the actual game drive, where the game data actually resides, is a standard hard drive, and it's what stores all the actual games, the software itself. And so of course, because the operating system runs on the solid state drive, then all my user data and that sort of thing is on the solid state drive. And I've kind of carried that through with some of the other machines, even though some of the machines only have a single drive, and there are very few drives, or very few machines that I have that just has a single drive. So even the recorder machine has 2 drives. It's got the main drive, and then it's got a data drive that it's where the video is actually going on to the data drive. That one's old enough that I did not use a solid state drive. Alright, so babble I was going. So anyway, long story short, I had my portable drive. I backed up all the information for, or rather all my new blueprints for Space Engineers onto that drive. And then I come home and I plug it back into the machine, into my network, and my backup software, I have an automatic syncing software, and it syncs from a particular place, which happens to be NAS 2. NAS 2 is in the house. NAS 1, which is the bigger of the NASs, is actually out in the other building. And So normally what I do before I launch the sync software is to back up whatever changes I made somewhere onto the local NAS, which is the master at the house for a lot of different directories. The game directory is one of them, a big game folder. And anyway, what I failed to do was actually back up my SE data from my portable drive that I took with me. So, oops, all gone. So, no biggie. As I say, shit happens. Alright, so this does not fit in here, which is kind of unfortunate. So what I think I'm going to do, just for fun, unknown signal was detected. Alright, this is doing mirroring. So what I'm going to do is actually remove some stuff. And this has a projector on it. It is obviously not configured very well, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, and this has a lot of problems that I didn't discover until I was tearing it apart. You notice that all these hydrogen thrusters are not working. And that's because I hate to badmouth any mod that's out there, but for those of you who are modders, and this is, I know this is going to sound really arrogant because I don't actually have any mods that are readily available out there. But one of the things that this is, I mean, total OCD, and I know it's going to sound a little bit insulting, but reversers. So when you have a mod that has multiple blocks and the game does strange things when it comes to mirroring. So what I recommend, what I encourage, implore that you do is, if you do a multi-block mod that is absurdly popular, then make sure all of your workings work correctly, including mirroring. So what happened here? The Prosimian Armored Conveyors mod. Prosimian Armored Conveyors. Great mod, highly recommend it, but the mirroring is still screwed up. So anyway, what happens is you put stuff in, and the mirroring doesn't happen quite right, so you end up with pieces that are swiveled around the wrong way, and that's what has happened here. Alright, so I'm going to grab onto this battery. I'm going to turn the projector off, because all I'm going to do is dismantle this. I'm not going to do anything really special here. So I just need to find the projector. We're going to just turn it off. And I'm going to see if it fits. I'm going to grab it here by the nose. Alright, let me grind this piece down because it's clearly not attached to anything anymore. Oh, I have no power. I don't know if this thing has power or not. Definitely missing a lot of doors. Okay, and missing more than just doors. Missing most everything. Alright, well. we're gonna put a temporary medical room on here because I need power. I'm not terribly worried about you know, oxygen or hydrogen because I have bottles. Still, I think, too big to fit. But I don't know why. I think it's that top section. Alright. So we'll come out here again. Yeah, that makes no sense. Alright, so we're gonna cut this one off. Actually, you know what? Let's actually do the grinding down. What's going on there? Looks like it was rebuilding it for me, which actually is probably the case. So the reason this looks so jagged and screwed up is because I was using Uncle Steve's armor blocks mod, and it has 3x1 blocks, up to 3x1 blocks. So basically it takes all of the blocks, the 1x2 blocks, 1x1x2 blocks, and this was before the 1x1x2 blocks were in the game. So he had actually 2x1x1 blocks and 3x1x1 blocks, and they were pretty awesome, and I used them. Armor ramps, I guess, is what they were called. The armor ramps mod by Uncle Steve. I don't think Uncle Steve is still doing mods anymore, unfortunately. I liked all of the mods that he did. Alright, so kill that one again, paste it back in, and then we're going to see if this fits. No. Darn it. what I'm trying to figure out is, so I'm well clear of the shipyard there. But alright, frozen. Huh, interesting. Got a lot of stuff that's vanishing here. Or maybe it's not vanishing, it's that it's not really there. Alright, we'll look at this one. Is this one really here? Yes, that one's really there. There was another one down here. We'll see if that one's really here. Alright, so we're going to do some space mastering here for just a moment. First, next. Cool. Large grid, remove. Oh, well that definitely wasn't what I wanted to remove. Current value, oh, that is still there. Alright, so that's a Concorde. That's that. Remove. Next. Remove. Next. Large grid. Concorde. Okay. Alright, so here's what we can do. Alright. Okay. Battery. Alright, so we have a bunch of batteries. We're going to say batteries. And those are going to be off and off. Alright, so transfer to me. Yes. Build and repair system. Alright, so we have a bunch of build and repair systems. Bunch more batteries. Oh darn. So what I was trying to do, BRS, and just to carry on with the lunacy, we're going to still call those systems just to be redundant. Alright, I gotta figure out where those are. So I had tried to replace all the batteries. You know what I'm gonna do? Where are we at? We are at 35 minutes. So I hate to do this because it takes a whole lot of time, but it actually saves a lot of time as well. So I'm going to do a save and exit. So there's a save changes before. Yes. So my goal, when I first started building the frame, I was using Kenti blocks. What I decided is that because a lot of folks really do enjoy, I see a lot of shipyards on the workshop. So what I was thinking is that I would build something that is as close to vanilla as I can get it. So, having said that, we're going to exit to Windows. Yep, sir. I'm going to go into, as my little animal critters show up on the screen. This is SE Toolbox. So I'm going to do a Control R, which will actually reload my standard mods world. Might take a second or two. Or 5, or 10. Alright, so large grid. So we're going to change the name of this to BRS Shipyard. There is no antenna on it yet. Cubes. Okay, so there's a bazillion batteries here. As you can see, there's a bazillion BRS systems here, not all of which are owned. There's conveyor junctions, not all of which are owned, so I need to go through and actually eventually change ownership. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Conveyor tubes. Alright. Kenti battery, we want to change to battery. Replace. I know that's really hard for you to see on your screen, but we're going to go to battery. So we're going to change all of the Kenti batteries. I don't know how I missed those, but obviously I did, with vanilla batteries. This is going to cause a lot of problems. As you see, I have a lot of slope conveyor tubes here. But no real way around it. I want to make this as vanilla as possible. So we're going to delete all those. And then all we have left is scaffolding. So here's, this is an alphabetical list. So a lot of conveyor tubes, obviously. A lot of batteries. Okay. And we're going to do a save. This is either going to work or crash. It worked. All right. So the Concorde is over here. We'll leave that there. and then we will do a reload of the game. Alright. Space Engineers. So, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to add in Uncle Steve's pieces. So there's actually two things missing on the Concorde. So armor ramps by Uncle Steve. So we're going to put those in, and auxiliary connectors. All right. Okay. Oh, one other thing I want to check and see if I put it in hacking computer. Yes, I did. That was something I was thinking about using the other day. Alright, okay, and okay, and standard mods, load. Alright, and while that's loading, I'm going to take a quick break, and I encourage you to do the same. I'm going to refill my tea, and off we go. Okay, looks like we loaded in successfully. I'm going to delete that. The reason I'm going to delete that is because I want to try and paste in an original. Still some of the blocks. Oh, actually, I know which block it is. There's some doors that are not there. Alright, so the good news is this is quite a bit more complete than it was. Alright. Here we go. Looks a whole lot better than it did. But there's still a bunch of pieces missing on the front. this also uses... Huh, I guess this was using a window mod of some kind. Strange. Right, so let me grind this down. But at least you can see some of the shape has recovered. So it looks a whole lot better than it did on the other one. There's doors missing, obviously. Probably a few other things missing. Oh yeah, all the guts. Everything is missing out of the inside. Lots of stuff gone. Lots of thruster issues, as you can see. Bunches of thrusters not working. Alright, so here's what we did. So let me fix first things first, right? Alright, so this is the center of this monster. So I'm going to do an M and then select so I can do mirroring. And mirroring is just means that I only have to do the work once. Or rather, well, not once, but alright, and again, and blue. Alright. So we're really going to utilize the stuff. Okay. N and N. Okay, I am seeing still seeing better. Alright, so here's where the problem lies, and whether we do it on the top or the bottom, I guess, will remain quote right side up here. Okay, so the sloped conveyors went through there, but they all, so that one can stay there, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Wrong color, default color, staying the same. So we're kind of doing the total stair stepper thing here, which isn't ideal, but okay, is that lined up where it needs to be? Yes, it is. that's awful silly looking, but it is connected, so I don't know why it is still red. I'm guessing this is going to piss me off because it's now back to stupid shit. So, battery, have lots of batteries. So battery, we copy that into the battery group, save. All belongs to me. Yes. Batteries off and off. Batteries. Turn them off. So everything should have gone red. And turn them back on. That was one of the methodologies that was used. Alright, so this makes very little sense. It's connected at the bottom. And connected at the top. So why is it not working? Alright. Here's something I'm going to do here because rather than just getting entirely frustrated over everything. Okay, so we're going to fly all the way through to this side. Now, why did I do that? And of course it turns green. Why wouldn't it turn green? I knew it was going to be something like that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and redo this thing as silly as it looked. and of course my mirroring turned off. Why would I have imagined differently? It says it's on, but it's not really on. Alright, so this is the center. So blue is on, and alright, so I should have mirroring in both planes at this point. There we are. Alright, so let us turn mirroring off for just a moment. Alright. Now, if everything worked correctly, which it didn't. Alright, well, let us try one more time to make all of this happen. Oops, didn't want to do that one. Alright, turn mirroring back on, and alright, now with mirroring on, that should be now all four. So that one was duplicated, and these two are already here, so they should still be green. Yes, they are. Alright. And to make these guys work should be a simple matter of should have done 1, 2, and then it should have also done these two over here, which it did. Alright, so interestingly enough, we can actually add the, darn it, frame like this. Should have done the same thing up there. Yes, it did. I don't know if it will let me do this on the outside because these are all external. So the only thing I could really do here is put blocks in. I think I'll just not worry about that. Alright, so we now effectively have one segment that is complete. So let's go to a battery here and make sure we have all of our permissions correct. So batteries and systems. Indeed, it is all me. Alright, and we will try the copy paste once again. We will select from right there, which is a C. There's section 1. So there's 2 sections. V, 3 sections. 4 sections. And 5 sections. Alright, and it looked like it worked pretty well. Alright, so, I hate to say it, but hey, we're back where we started. So, there's an hour of your life you'll never get back. And on that thought, this is Kenty Tiger signing off, and we will continue in the next stream, and we'll see you next time.